Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's On the Sofa. Apologies for the delay, just had a few technical issues. We're very pleased to say that we've got Leigh Barnard with us tonight. So Leigh will be on shortly with Vic. Just a couple of things. Evening, our end of season presentation evening. There are some tickets still left, so if you are thinking about coming along, please can you do it before, well, tonight or tomorrow, really, because we need to get the meal orders into the club for that. So so they will be going off sale later in the week, maybe possibly Wednesday, I think. So if you can do that'd be absolutely fantastic. With more the merrier. We'd love to see everybody. And I actually think that's about it. Next week we've got the museum, the SGFC museum. We've got the people from the trust who are dealing with that on to have a chat about that and tell us what it's going to involve and what they need help with and things. So, okay, so without further ado, let's bring Vic on. Evening, Vic.
Chris. Evening to you. Yes, the museum will be officially launched next Monday evening at 7 o'clock, which is a very exciting project, which, you know, we've got a fantastic heritage and we've got to preserve it. So we'll be talking about that next Monday evening. Looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Do you want to say anything about SAS, Vic?
SAS, no bookings taken tomorrow night. They have a coach which is full and they don't have enough for another coach. So they won't be open tomorrow night. So therefore, if you are going to Crewe, unfortunately, there are no spaces left on SAS Travel for Saturday.
And we'd just like to say thank you to SAS Travel for all the work they've done this season and transport out, as well as Barnes coaches and all the drivers. So
absolutely right. Quite right.
All right. Let's get Leigh on. Good evening, Leigh.
Good evening. Okay? Thank you for having me.
No, it's a privilege. Thank you. So any questions for Leigh, please leave them in the comments. As I say every week, we probably won't be able to get through all of them, but we do try and get through as many as we can. Okay, I'm going to leave you now in Vic's capable hands.
Chris, thanks very much indeed. Leigh, it's a great pleasure to see you again. It's been a long time. You might be able to see behind me some of the shirts that you would have worn during your time at Swindon Town. Yeah, and you might recognise this little cassette that we did in 1986-87 with you and Coiney, and I think that's Tim Parkin in the background as well.
Oh, brilliant.
And I also just found this. You might well remember this brochure as well. And there's this cheerful little chappie right in the middle of the crowd holding up the trophy. You might notice that too, from 1985-86. And inside there's a nice page all about your time at Swindon Town, which is what we're going to talk about now. Fantastic to see you. How are you, first and foremost?
Oh, yeah, so good. Really retired now. Had a teaching career after the football, and so happy to be retired. It's just a great way of life. So relaxed, you know, play golf 3 times a week on the allotment. It's just great.
Yeah, as a fellow retiree, I know exactly what you mean. So we're with you on that. It means I get to watch Swindon home and away. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on swiftly. Sean says already, leave it to Leigh, leave it to Leigh Barnard. Do you remember that chant?
Oh, bless. Not really. I've got to be honest. I remember a few other things, but.
And I had an email from Steve Fisher who says, could you remind Leigh about playing squash? We can't play that anymore, but can definitely go fly fishing. So there's a message from Steve.
I'm so grateful that we've been able to make contact with this guy, because he absolutely was fantastic. He taught me. I played squash with him for about 2 years before I even got close to winning. And also he took me fishing, and it was so good to learn from him. And if I can actually go fish with Steve Fisher, believe it or not, I would absolutely love to.
Well, I'll see him tomorrow night, so I'll pass on that message if that's all right with you.
Thank you so much. And I do still play squash, by the way.
Well done. Very good. Now, let's go back to the beginning then. Eastbourne is where you're originally from, yes. But your first club was Pompey. Tell us how that came about.
Well, yeah, the 14 years of age, I went down to Portsmouth for a trial. And so, yeah, it's about 50 years ago. Did a course up in Nottingham for all of the country a coaching course, and received a number of letters from, I don't know, Leeds United, Burnley, and Portsmouth. Went to Portsmouth, had trials, and signed associate schoolboys forms and apprentice footballer at 16. And just to say, along came Frank Burrows in the end, and people like Steve Hazelwood, John McLaughlin, and had such a high regard for these guys. Fantastic, they really were. And obviously the Swindon connection was born from there.
Yeah, your sound's gone a little bit strange, but we'll live with it for a moment. You've got
Sorry.
dark. No, it's not your fault. It's just one of those things. Bit Dalek-y, but as long as you don't say exterminate, we'll be fine. A few messages coming in. This is from Leigh. True fact, my dad named me after you in 1986. Leigh spelt the proper way. How about that? And something we'll talk about later from Kevin. Remember the Mansfield goal you scored? What a finish that was. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it was from the outside of the left, on the outside of the left foot, actually. And I've got a picture here.
Wow, lovely. Yes.
Yeah.
There
Can
it
you
is.
see that?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a windy, rainy day, and we celebrated after the match. It was just really a fantastic day. That really was. Yeah, Mansfield away.
We'll get to that a little later because
Okay.
after Portsmouth, you went out on loan to Peterborough, and then Swindon come along. I think it was John Trollope who signed you initially, wasn't it?
Yeah. John Trollope, what a fantastic man.
How did that come about then?
Well, I think basically Frank Burrows was sort of moving away from Portsmouth, and my links with Portsmouth were coming to an end. I think that probably Frank had a chat with John, and John got in touch with me, and I came down to the county ground and spoke with him, and it was just a great opportunity for me. After the Peterborough loan did not go too well, but it was an interesting time. It was a good experience for me. But I think to sign for Swindon was a really good opportunity, and I took it.
Yeah, you certainly did. Well, lots of messages coming in. Hi, Chris, Vic, and of course Leigh. I was only 9 when I first watched Town, and Leigh, great player who never gave up. That's what we like at Swindon Town. Who can never forget that goal at Mansfield, Mr. Barnard? You're forever in Swindon Town folklore. Plus, I remember asking my dad, God bless him, that's not how you spell Leigh. Remember, I was only 9 years old. One question, how did you find the difference between Lou Macari's football and life under Ozzy? Was it a 100% shock to the system, even though the team took to it like duck to water? Again, we'll get to that later, because I was going to ask you that very question. So I remember Andy Rowland's testimonial, and we all watched that game going, what's going on here? Anyway, we'll get to you later. Gary says, hi, Leigh, the legends. So there we are. So you joined Swindon Town, and let's be honest, the club was in a bit of a, how can we put this, bit of a state at the time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. There's not too many joining at that time. It was more people going in the other way. And it was very difficult time for the fans, for the management. What can we say? It was just really, really tough times. And I have to say, until Lou really came in, things were very, very difficult. Obviously, we weren't attracting too many players at the time, and therefore, it was just really, really tough on everyone. But really pleased when, Mr. Hillier got Lou in, and it was so good because John Trollope became his assistant, and the team worked really well. That was after Harry Gregg. They sort of fell out, but after that we really took off. I mean, Lou could really he could see a player. He could see things in them. I mean, can you remember when Dave Bamber used to play out on the right wing? right? So, I mean, Dave used to come into the changing room after a game. I don't want to play out on the wing again. and Lou just used to say, "Oh, lads, Dave doesn't want to play out on the wing again." And there he was next week out on the wing because he did such a great job.
Yeah,
Dave Amber on the wing was fantastic.
Yeah, he used to get a penalty every week, didn't he?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, he's so tall, and those elbows used to just kind of fend people off. It was brilliant.
It was,
but no one else would have put Dave Amber out on the wing.
No, amazing. Now, it didn't go that smoothly to begin with at Swindon under Lou, did it? Because you got loaned out to Exeter, I think, after one game at Torquay. Now, was it the Freight Rover game where Lou got his 100th goal in English football? Was that the one that he didn't take too kindly, or was it another game with Torquay?
I think. Well, I had to actually play for Exeter against Swindon.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and it was just. I was in turmoil at the time. It was awful, but it really motivated me, and I think that Lou saw something that he could see that he wanted eventually to keep me. Okay, and I think that those 2 months down there in Exeter, they weren't great, but to get back, that's all I wanted to do was to get back, and from then on, really, I'd say that I was kept in the team for quite a number of years. So if Lou, I think, was around for 5, eventually he just kept putting me in on the team sheet every week, and was really pleased. It came to an end eventually. He called me in and he said, "Listen, things aren't going brilliantly for you at the moment." He said, "But we want you here." He said, "You're not going to go anywhere." At that time, I think Cardiff were looking to sign me, but so I was. It was tough, but it was great to be able to get back and actually take part in all of those promotion years that we eventually got. So yeah, they were great times, really, and we were the fittest team, and with really high intensity. We used to play with high intensity, and I think we used to just run all over teams because Lou wanted us fit. He kept us off the booze. He kept us lean and mean. He was hard taskmaster, but it proved successful, and I think obviously it reaped the rewards.
Yeah, you sort of glossed over the fact that when you played against Swindon at the county ground, you kind of how can we put this, collided with Lou and injured him. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I do. But I only there was no malice. It was just sometimes you tackle and you I don't know, somebody doesn't somebody comes out on top. Let's put it like that. And just on that occasion, and it happened to be Lou, and it wasn't, there wasn't no malice in it. Maybe there was an extra bit of I don't really like it down in Exeter, Lou. Get me back, so take that.
Well, having said that, you scored 2 goals for Exeter, both of them against Wrexham. Whatever happened to Wrexham, we haven't heard much about them lately, have we?
They've done really well, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, extraordinary. So you did get a couple of goals for Exeter, but when you came back, let's go to 85-86. It wasn't the greatest of starts, was it? No. The team didn't really gel in those early days, did they?
No, but Lou, bless him, was on the. He collected players, the best from every team. How he got them to turn up and come. It's like Steve White from Bristol Rovers and Tim Parkin. He went and got the best from all around and pulled them in. He pulled from Manchester, his old club at United. It was like you never knew in the changing room when the next player was coming in. There was always someone there new, sitting there, waiting to come and train with you. and it really motivated you. So you know, you had so many players that just were an upgrade. Say, he's just looking to upgrade all the time, and that's the way it is, I'm afraid, in football. Yeah.
I always remember there was a little spell where you hadn't started very well, but then you went away, I think, on one of those infamous army camp breaks, and
they were amazing times.
Yeah, you played Hartlepool on the Saturday and lost narrowly 1-0, and then played Sunderland in the Milk Cup the following, and that's when it really started to turn around, didn't it?
Yeah. The Paul Roberts was playing at the time, and he got injured, and he was I can remember being at the army camp, and he was getting treatment right in front of me, and I was out the team. I wasn't playing, and then on the night against Sunderland, I got the message that I was actually in the team. I just could not believe it, and just took the chance. And from then on, like you said, things started to really, really go well. Once you get a winning momentum, and every player wants to be in that team, that's when it really kicked on. And so those army camps, oh my God, taking us away, it just got everybody together, got everybody in the right frame of mind. We didn't exactly, all of us, like being away from our families, but at the same time, oh God, it was just incredible. So can I just say about the horse racing part of with Lou? He just used to create this kind of this thing where the lot of us would get some kind of information on a horse, and then we'd all go pile into a bookmaker's and just put all this money on this horse. I can't remember if we were losing or winning or whatever, but it was so funny. And it just like all of those kind of army camps, and the RAF camps as well. Yeah, fabulous times.
But as you say, I mean, the fitness that you got in those days, I mean, all good well for the second half of the season. But of course, you'd had a great Milk Cup run. There was a fabulous night against Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't there, when Peter Coyne, you know, I remember interviewing him afterwards, and he said, the ball sort of went round down the neck and into the back of the net. You know, it was that kind of wonderful moment that you remember. And it was just, you know, that was such a great night, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, can you remember who managed Sheffield Wednesday at the time?
Gosh, wasn't Ron Atkinson, was it?
No. I think he went on to manage Leeds.
Howard Wilkinson?
Yeah. I'm sure it was. Maybe it wasn't. But the one that I can remember really, really well was we played Leeds United in a cup match. I can't remember if that was exactly at that time, but I remember that I don't know, they just got into the lead, and they had a corner. It was about 10 minutes to go. They had a corner, and I looked round, and I could see at least 7 of their players, 4 along the halfway line, and 3 in front of them. And it just absolutely so demoralising to see that. And I always remember it because I thought it was such a good thing to do. I thought we should have taken that on board. Yeah.
But that second half of the season was extraordinary, wasn't it? I mean, you know, to reach the amount of points that you did, and also to go on that incredible run. And I remember one game at Rochdale when you were losing 1-0 to about the 75th minute, and that's when the fitness took over. You won 2-1 in the end, but it was
that the one where the rain came down so heavily. I thought Gary Nelson had
that was the previous
lips.
Yeah, that was the previous season when he got hypothermia. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you couldn't see the hills because it was raining, or you couldn't see the hills because it was about to rain. It was that sort of day, wasn't it? It was terrible.
It really was. But no, it certainly did. The fitness, it really did take off. And all I can say is that I think that might have been the year that they built the running track next to the county ground, and Lou made full use of that.
He did like to run, didn't he?
Well, all I can remember is as I was walking down the tunnel to go out, he used to shout down the tunnel, "If you can run, run, and if you can pass, pass, and if you can dribble, dribble." Right, and I think the run was ringing in my ears, as I went out. So, but it was he really kind of, I think, knew what you could do and what was your sort of talent, and if he put you in that position to do exactly what was going to hurt the opposition. So really interesting times, and so enjoyable when you win,
Yeah, well, incredible. You were winning every week and you weren't losing. That was another thing. I think you lost at Tranmere just after New Year, and then you weren't beaten again that season, which is extraordinary.
Yeah. Absolutely was. We went close, or did we get the top points, I think, for the division? I'm not sure if we did or not. Perhaps you could help me with that. But
102. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Lots of messages coming in. This is from Paddy. Brilliant to see Leigh Barnard looking so well. Great memories watching him in the town shirt. Always put a proper shift in. And here's another one here which says, let's have a look. Rob says, crikey, he's well preserved. I'd still recognise him in the street. So how about that? That's all right. Lots more, which we'll get to in a minute. But that, 102 points. It was sealed with a victory over Crewe on the last day of the season. Hence this picture here on the front of this brochure, where Leigh Barnard is somewhere in the middle of it, holding that trophy aloft, alongside Colin Calderwood. What a captain that was! Oh,
Colin Calderwood reminded me of Bobby Moore. I mean, you can't get higher than that. But he wasn't the fastest player, but he could really read the game well, and it was just a wonderful captain. He really was. Colin Calderwood made me feel welcome. We got on so well. I used to go around his house. I can remember him growing potatoes in his garden. It just is. He was just a wonderful guy. He really was. Colin Calderwood, magical captain, and very spirited, just good-hearted, good-souled, really good football person. Colin Calderwood, yeah.
And we should say Andy Rowland played a big part in this as well, didn't he?
He did. And Andy Rowland, with all his experience, was fantastic. It really was. And obviously after his playing career, he carried on in a coaching role. And I hope he's. I heard that his health wasn't too good, and I hope that he's well. I really do.
Yeah, we wish him all the very best, and of course his family too.
Yes.
What was the difference then from when you joined to that 85-86 season, where the crowds were beginning to pick up, weren't they? Things were really beginning to work. So what apart from Lou, obviously, what do you think was the reason for that?
Yeah. Okay. When a club gets momentum, as we did, the crowds going up. There were queues going down, they were buying tickets. It was just like a kind of a juggernaut it was difficult to stop. All of the players that were coming in, I don't know if you remember Jimmy Gilligan, but he struggled so much with the fitness, and bless him, it was just, the momentum was caused really by the basics of our fitness, and obviously, I'll say it again, was Lou's ability to see in players and sign players that would contribute to improve the team. And it was just win-win situation. He really got the discipline of everyone. He'd sort of get into you like, you know, your diet. He'd be on to you to keep your weight at a, you know, really on that edge. If you look at pro players, their fitness has to be right on that edge. You cannot dip below peak fitness today. And he had us there at that, all those years ago. He had us in that kind of condition. We went away one year in the summer, and York City players were in the same town, and we sat down, we had a drink with them, and they all looked so fat, and we were as thin and as skinny as rakes, and we just couldn't believe it. And it was just how it was. He got us there, and that was I think it was a lot of hard work for him to do that, actually.
Incredible.
And a team.
And of course, he did his homework, didn't he? Because I mean, he would drive to sort of Stockport versus Rochdale Reserves of a Tuesday afternoon just to check on a player, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would. He lived and breathed. We all did. We all had to. But obviously, what can I say? All things change, don't they?
Yes, they do. This is from Steve. Leigh, always have 100% honest and trustworthy on the pitch. A true servant to the club. Some of the happiest days I've had watching the team. Thank you. You know, those are the messages.
That's amazing. I thank you so much for that.
Well, these messages are all coming through. Anthony says, ask Barney if he enjoyed playing for the Greyhound in the Sunday League. Did you play in the Sunday League?
Yeah, probably. No, I've got to. There's a match, I think, on the 14th of May. I'm going to come down for a charity match. Yeah. I'm still trying to get out there and play. Can't move like I used to, but it's just great to be out there. When you run onto the pitch, and you just it's just such a good thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I'll be helping to commentate on that game as well, alongside the Sir Tom Broadbent land. So we're looking forward to that very much indeed on the 14th of May. This is from Derek Elston, Great Town fan. He says, evening, Vic and Leigh. Great listening to this chat. I have to say that this was and probably still is my favourite time of following the town, despite all we've achieved since. And I think for many people, actually it was. I mean, and we'll talk about that day at Mansfield. You got promotion against Chester. I think you won 4-2 on the Tuesday. And then to clinch the championship.
The evening game, I can remember. Yeah. Did I score in that one? I think I did. You know?
You did. And also Dave Bamber got penalty, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
And then let's go forward then to the following Saturday, I think, if memory serves, at Mansfield.
Yes.
Now, I always remember afterwards Lou saying, we drew the game. It's a game we should have won, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he was such a perfectionist because even though you'd won the championship, out celebrating on the pitch, he still thought you should have won the game. That's basically how it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, true. I don't know. At the time, I just felt a little bit uncertain during the match for some reason. Yeah, but what the result in the end was enough, and so we were obviously delighted. But that's what Lou was about. He kind of gave you confidence as well, because it didn't matter who the opposition were. He never felt how can I put it, that they were better than us or anything, or never gave you that impression at all. He wanted you to compete to the limit, and didn't matter where the team went. Could have been, you know, Aston Villa or whatever. I mean, some of these clubs are, you know, maybe a lot bigger or whatever, but he'd be having none of the like, you know, we're inferior anyway. He just instilled in you that confidence in everything that you had to go out and do the job and to be successful, and that's what a good manager would do. So yes, I think through the 80s, they were wonderful times as well when you think about it, because even though, I mean, I read so much about the professionalism these days. I mean, we did enjoy ourselves. We were allowed to go out and, you know, that Pasha's nightclub, we really enjoyed going there after a game. And okay, we had to sneak a beer or two, but I know that probably nowadays you can't do that. So 80s, what I'm trying to get to is at that time, it was a fabulous time for all of us in Swindon, and Swindon Town supporters and the club through the 80s. It was an enjoyable time to be part of all of what happened, because obviously to go through from the 4th and eventually all the way through to the first division, and I just feel that when Ozzy turned up, some of the fitness that we still had from Lou's days was still there. So incredible.
Yeah, what do you remember that afternoon at Mansfield then? Because if you remember, there were people hanging off trees. Yes. It was incredible, really. And I always remember you saying afterwards, "Look at those people over there." I mean, it was incredible. Yeah. I mean, they were great. You were in the bath, weren't you? And you got told to come back out again.
Yes, that's right. And yeah, I've got to say, I only had a towel around me, and bless everyone, because no one pulled the towel off, because it would have been rather embarrassing. But no, we came out and we stood in front of all of the supporters at that end, and it was well, I'm looking out the window here. It's quite miserable, you know, grey, and with a lot of rain. But the warm hearts and the warm, you know, from the success, and it was just so good that everyone, smiling faces, so happy with all that took place throughout the season. And yeah, and to be honest, you can go your whole career and not have any success at all, and you know, so it was really enjoyable that you actually win something, or you actually, you know, you're successful in the game. Just and some people, okay, you know, you've got these fantastic players that win Premier League after Premier League and all of these, you know, amazing trophies and medals, but that moment for us at Swindon was just absolutely wonderful. Really was.
Yeah, it was an incredible afternoon, and those of us who were there will always remember it, I'm sure. And you know, incredible. Lots of stuff coming in. This is from Leigh, spelled Lee. By the way.
Yes, this is the boys' way, the correct way.
Great era watching the town start of a great decade of football, Fortress County Ground, which it was in those days. I've been into your ground back in the day when you beat Darlington 4-0 in the old League Cup games. I think that was after Swindon had lost 3-0 up there and then turned it around and won 4-0 in the return, if I remember right.
Yes. Incredible.
Yeah. Steve says the Lou Macari days were fantastic with the likes of Leigh, Dave Bamber, Johnny Gittins, Colin the Iceman or the Fridge Calderwood, and of course we should remember Chris Kamara.
Great.
Yeah, because
real great competitor, Chris.
Yeah,
and I think that was the second time that he'd come back to the club.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously he's gone on to do so well.
Well, he got a special award yesterday, didn't he, at the Football League dinner? So well done to him. And Andrew says, Tuesday after at Aldershot, Kenny Allen chasing Chris Kamara around the pitch. Great days. There was a bit of an altercation, I seem to remember, after in that game. Well, but also, go on. Yeah.
Kenny could be on the edge a bit at times.
Yeah. I mean, he made a difference, though, when he came in, didn't he?
He did. Difference. Yeah, he did. He did so well. It's like I say, the way that Lou collected all the players. That he really did well. I mean, how many people did Lou actually bring back from other clubs to Swindon? I mean, there were so many players that he kind of just I don't know. He just seemed to just be a bit of a favourite thing of his to bring back players that were old favourites or really successful, and then they'd gone away. Alan Mays was one.
Yeah, David Moss was another.
That's right, David Moss. Yeah.
Let's have a look.
He was a funny lad, David Moss. Oh my God.
Local boy, of course. He was up at Liverpool Academy for a long time until
really.
Yeah. So we had him on this program a few weeks ago. It was great talking to him too.
Oh, good. Is he well, David?
Yeah, he's very well. He's very good indeed. Let's have a look. Gosh, so much stuff coming in. This is from Anthony. Notts Mounted Police enjoyed galloping onto the away terraces at Mansfield. Could have been serious injuries. Trevor says, I remember watching a pre-season game with Lou in charge. I went home and said to my dad, we need to get season tickets. Very good. Now, the following season, of course, you're up a league.
Yeah.
And the success continues, as is monitored in this very cassette. If only I had a cassette player to play it on these days, it would be great. So what do you remember of 86, 87? Steve White had come in.
Yeah.
And he got 20-odd goals that season.
Well, you see, with someone like Steve, Lou just used to say, you just put it over the top, and he ran onto it, and he just smash it into the top of the net. Steve White was so strong; his upper body was like some kind of a Trojan, and he was fast, and of course he brought Tim Parkin in at the back as well. Unstoppable, Steve White.
What about that night at Sellers Park? I mean, you mentioned players that came in. Steve Berry was one who came in right at the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, I came in very late and I got all the glory. I mean, what about that night at Sellers?
He deserved it. Steve Berry you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the sidelines for so long and just kept persevering. And, to be fair, he's a very talented player, Steve Berry.
Yeah. So Sellers Park, then, those incredible games against Gillingham.
Well,
I think you said
Charlie Henry's goal.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, take us through the dressing room, for those three matches, because they were extraordinary, weren't they?
Well, I tell you what, the one at Palace, we stayed in this hotel right on the roundabout it's called Westfield. Anyway, we get in there and we weren't allowed to eat much as per usual. And in the afternoons you're meant to put your head down and sleep, and oh God, it's really tedious, because you're quite nervous and you're getting, and it's such a big build up. But you get off the coach, Barnes travel, get off the coach at the hotel, right in central London, and you just feel, this is it, destiny, and you're just so wound up, and you're ready. Well, no, I could sleep. I don't know who I was rooming with. It might have been John Gittins. I might have been rooming with him, but I don't know. No, he wouldn't have been there at that time. Anyway, it was one of those. And then we come down and I don't know if he gave us a meeting or anything like that, but it seemed so low key. I think we did have a meeting, but it seemed so like. And then we turn up there, and you know, it calls out the team, and you're in. Brilliant. Okay, but I have to say, the Palace one, I didn't feel like I was playing anywhere like I'd been playing in previous matches, and I was so grateful to see others that how can I put it, were on the night absolutely 100% on it. Charlie Henry was on it. Steve White was on it. Everyone seemed to be 100% on it, and I just did not feel like I contributed enough. And can I say, people like Peter Coyne, you know, Peter was not, like I'd say, like charging about the place. He would never charge about the place and run and run and run. Peter was a bit more kind of coy and a bit more, and Lou knew that. You had to have those kind of players. But I tell you what, the Gillingham side was a good side, but they just didn't have what we had.
No, you'd mentioned that Charlie Henry goal at the county ground, which is like legendary, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Where did that come from? I mean, let's talk about Charlie Henry, because in 85-86, he had an absolute dream season, didn't he? He was incredible. I remember one game against Cambridge, he came on as a sub and he scored 2 seconds later. It was that sort of season for Charlie Henry. And what a local boy to come in and do as well as he did. Incredible.
Yeah. He got massive thighs, you know, Charlie Henry. Massive thighs. And I swear to God, he used to belt down that pitch. And when he smacked that in, the ball just, rocketed in. And, you know, you just got the feeling nothing is going to stop us. When Charlie does something like that, you know, all is good. Nothing is going to stop us. And, that's exactly what happened.
Well, I mean, you got off to a great start at Sellers Park, of course, because Steve White scored after about 2 minutes, didn't he? And then the second, and then Bedlam, basically, because you all go out on the pitch and the fans are going bonkers. I mean, what was it like going over to those supporters at the end?
Oh, wow. It's just, it's an amazing feeling. Like I said, the build-up is, you're all nerves, and then when you get out there, it all takes place and goes your way. Absolutely, sensational. And so happy for the club and all of the supporters, you know. But I think the one I think I went home that night, and I think I just sat downstairs in the lounge. I just sat there in the complete dark and didn't move, and just sat there for quite some time, for hours. Just sat there thinking about everything and just calming down, really, I think. Because you're at such a high. Yeah. The playoffs actually, when they brought them in, I thought, God, you know, we've run a marathon and now we've got to do a sprint. And it's great really for the supporters, and it's exciting, but excuse me. Yeah, it's quite how can I put it? It's a really sort of exciting thing for everybody to go through if you're on the successful team, you know.
Yeah, because these were the pre-Wembley days, weren't they? And you played the final over 2 legs, and then you played the semi-final against Wigan, if I remember rightly. So it wasn't, you know, you didn't get the Wembley glamour, but
Wigan away.
Yeah, Wigan away 1-3-2.
That's right. I didn't think I played that match, but and I tell you what, I thought maybe I did. Everybody was pitching in, and honestly, it was so good. Yeah, Wigan, I can remember at least being there and feeling like everyone was really pitching in and giving their all. Yeah. Yeah,
2-0 down, 1-3-2. Incredible night.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Andy Williams says this is of the Selhurst Park night, one of, if not the greatest night ever, washing the town. Steve says Charlie Henry was awesome, but Leigh was my favourite. Coyne did what he did and did it well.
Yeah.
Graham says the flying save from Fraser held it to. Nowadays, it would have been pushed away. Derek says that was the minute that I knew we'd go up. You only had to look at the Gillingham players as they trudged off the pitch.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've ever jumped higher than when Charlie knocked that one in against Gillingham. That was from Rob. I mean, this is from Graham. This is quality viewing, bringing back so many memories of my first seasons watching Swindon as a young lad, remembering all those great names from the past. I mean, when we say the past, it seems like yesterday to me. How about it for you?
Yeah. Yeah. What can you say? It really is. How can I put it to you? That just that. So you live your life, but you know exactly what you've been through, and those moments you cherish. You absolutely, you can only cherish them, and obviously you've got to look forward. You can't keep looking back, but I promise you, they're with me, and they're with every player. You know, we live on, but those moments, I just tell you, they're just marvelous.
Have you still got your 4th Division Championship medal? I'm sure it must be somewhere.
No, there's a guy, Nick Vitali. He's such a nice guy. He loves Swindon Town. He's an absolute Swindon Town nut, and he loves the football. And I just thought to myself, right, this guy would cherish this, and I gave it to him. I gave it to super fan, Nick Vitali. Yeah.
Fabulous. Hello to Mike. Vic, it would be terribly remiss if we didn't raise the memory of the 31st of March 1986, Easter Monday at the County Ground. About 20 minutes in, Bobby Barnes, playing for Aldershot, inexplicably suddenly launched a flying drop kick at Leigh, nearly cutting him in half, even though the ball was dead at the time. Awaiting a throw-in, as I recall, I've always wondered just what it was that Leigh said or did to Barnes to enrage him so, and is he prepared to admit it if he remembers?
Bobby Barnes was very skillful, and he was quite a character, and he'd do a lot of jinking but how can I put it? Anyway, I was kind of kept in the team. I think you know, it's quite difficult if you're not getting in the team, and so I think that maybe that might have been something to do with it. But for a while, I kept Bobby out, which was it would have been just my work rate really that would have done that. Bobby's just totally different kind of player. I have to say, I think he's gone on and done a really great job for the FA or the PFA, should I say? And I think that I don't know. Yeah, maybe he kind of I can't really remember the incident, but that's the only thing I could put it down to. I think that, he probably in a training incident, Steve White might have had something to do with Bobby Barnes a lot more than what I did. I actually roomed with Bobby Barnes quite a bit. Yeah, he's all right. Good lad.
Former West Ham player, of course. Mark Merriman. Hi, Mark. It says, Leigh, you're an absolute legend. So many memories from that great Lou Macari side of the 80s. You were a huge part of our success. And Claire says, the team spirit must have been amazing. I think collectively that was my favourite side. You see, we've had so many messages in, and they're all positive, which must be fabulous for you.
Actually, yeah, it really is, Vic. There were times that were quite difficult. I know that my kind of how can I put it? My place in the side was like I don't know, up for grabs, or you know. But the thing is, all right, all you can do is your best. You give 100%, and these days, you know, you just got to take it on the chin. I see the players. When they're not in the team, it's quite difficult, but you just have to soldier on, and the supporters have a lot to say, and rightly so. So you know, you just got to kind of soldier on, like I said.
Yeah, well, a lot of love for you tonight, I can tell you. Graham says, I'm taking a screenshot of Leigh. So the next time my wife asks why I'm travelling to Barrow again next year, I can say it's not my fault and it's because of this man and his mates. So how about which is brilliant. Right, let's go on to when Ozzy comes then, because boy, oh boy, I mentioned to you before about that Andy Rowland testimonial when we all sort of sat there and thought, what on earth's going on here? How was that?
Well, yeah, I think Ozzy Ardiles obviously is absolute, he's World Cup winner, and to have him at Swindon was just something else. We just couldn't believe it. Can I just say, he called me into his office once, and I sat there and I smelt smoke, and I was like, oh, what's this? Anyway, he had an ashtray in his drawer, and he sort of, sorry, he said, and he finished his cigarette and stuffed out the cigarette. It's just like, this Aussie for you. Another thing, I couldn't believe it. Talk about change. There was a bottle of whiskey in the middle of the changing room, and it had to be finished before we went out onto the pitch.
A big bottle too, wasn't it?
Yeah. and I was like, talk about a change. But everything was changing. I mean, he was a great coach, Ozzy, and he'd say to you, I don't want this ball pumped down the pitch. I want it passed, and I want, when you're in this position, I want you to do this. When you're in this position, I want you to do that. And all of the ability of the players that Lou had brought into the club, okay, before Ozzy got the chance to sign his signings, okay, Ozzy got them doing all kinds of different things, and they could all do whatever Ozzy asked, because the ability of the players was of a higher quality, and Lou had got these players in, and that's when really sort of took off. I mean, it was fabulous to see, because we would never have been able to do what Ozzy was asking us to do for Lou, because Lou didn't want that. He wanted a certain kind of high intensity, get the ball up the pitch kind of. But this Ozzy just turned around and said, right, I want you to play. I want you to pass. When you're in this position, I want you to pass it here. I want you to, and it was really, really good. It was kind of it felt like, so he had me playing right back, and he'd say, I want you to come late. So I was thinking, what does he mean? And he wanted me to hold back, and then you come onto the ball. And it was just fabulous to experience that. That somebody had told me, and then it happened in the match, and it just kind of encouraged you. And I just felt that the way they started to play under Ozzy was marvellous, really was. And obviously, it was sad to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd left by the time 1990 came around, hadn't you? You'd gone off. But that final at Wembley when they played Sunderland and beat them 1-0, which is the most one-sided 1-0 win ever in the history of football.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the old argument. Do you think that side would have survived in the old First Division if what had happened didn't happen?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, really. I think probably you needed a few recruitments, to be fair. But I think that, I don't think we had the money that was needed to be spent at that time to recruit a few players that would have helped us. And if you could have got them in, it would have been better. I think that, I think it was a continuation from fourth right up to the old first, and it was a pity that we couldn't really stay. stay in that first division and establish the culture of a first division club. But that would have been maybe it was a step too far at the time. It was just like you need a lot of money, don't you, to do that.
It seems incredible though, from when you started your journey with Swindon Town to where it kind of finished, because I think Lou famously held up a jockstrap when he took the job, didn't he, and said, "This is it. This is basically what the club's got." And then they ended up, when Ozzy came in to Wembley on the verge of the first division, it was an incredible few years, wasn't it?
Yeah, really, really was. And of course, Glenn, when Glenn came, he did such a wonderful job, and it was a pity that he left like that. But and John Gorman, obviously, these, and just the quality of player was far superior to obviously the players like myself that were in the fourth and the third and the old second division. You had a step up there that Glenn. I mean, people like Mickey Hazard were at the end of their careers. But honestly, to see the guy, they used to call him Tricky, and he was so tricky. You couldn't get the ball off him in training. Mickey Hazard was unbelievable. And you had Glenn himself, the way he played in that season, to get the promotion was just amazing. I mean, I can remember someone shooting at goal. He chested the ball down on the edge of our defending 6-yard box, and he half volleyed the pass from his chest trap out to the left wing. And when you see that, and you're just seeing an absolute quality that was, you can't deny it. It's just brilliant quality. So, and really good for everyone to see that kind of quality at the county ground. So we went from the fourth right away up to that first division with Ozzy. We're starting with Lou, and then it was Ozzy, and then Glenn Hoddle, and obviously the rest is history. But it was great. It was great to be part of that kind of era. Really something else, I must say. Yeah.
Well, it was a golden era in the history of the football club. Of course, back in what is the old fourth division again now. I mean, how closely do you follow the town? Yeah.
What I would say is that obviously I'm down here in London now, and it's a 45-minute walk for me to Fulham. So, but let's look at the results. Every week I'm looking. I'm not going to sort of lie to you and say that I'm really, really sort of like up on all of the players and all of I know that the ground is now in the safe hands of the fans, which is fabulous. So I keep an eye on things, but when you retire, you kind of slow down, don't you?
Well, you say you do, but I'm not showing any signs of it. I seem to do more now than I was when I was working. But
yeah, no, you can't believe how busy you're.
I know. Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, obviously, we had a fabulous win at Wimbledon on Saturday, a 5-1 away.
Yes,
it's fantastic.
It just seems a bit inconsistent to me.
Yeah. I mean, 1-2 on the bounce now, and hopefully got Steve Evans in Stevenage tomorrow. Bit too late, unfortunately. We won't be making the playoffs, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, but I'm just hopeful that things can continue the way that they are. The last 2 games seem to be good. I mean, there seemed to be a little bit of friction. I don't know, in the changing room or something. I don't know.
Oh, interesting. Tell us more.
You do need it. You do need that bit of tension,
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we're all painting a picture of fabulous times under Lou and Ozzy and all that kind of thing. But there must have been moments when things were, how can we put this?
Oh, it was tough.
Testy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You live in your life on the edge half the time. When you play, and you don't want to come out the team. You want to be in the team. It's physically demanding, mentally demanding. you know, you're on that coach, and I tell you, you travel all over and you're all together all the time, and it's not all you know, a bed of roses. You know, we know that, and it's tough, and you compete day in, day out, and it's not an easy life, I would say. But let's be honest. To be a professional footballer is a real privilege. I mean, and I can remember being in a dinner, Allied Dunbar. It was a dinner, and this guy said to me, he goes, "I earn more money than you. I know I do." And I said, "Oh, really? Okay, that's great." He said, "But I'll never be able to run out at 3 o'clock for Swindon Town." And I looked at him and I thought, "No, you never will, mate." But you know, that's life. It's kind of you know, it's a real privilege, and I was lucky enough to play for Swindon in the years that I did. I enjoyed the lifestyle so much. I had a wonderful house, lovely wife. Just, yeah, it was incredible. Honestly, when I look back, how good life was in those times. So, you know, what more can you say? It's just, yeah, like life is good if you're winning.
I tell you what, the one thing I always think about you is you smile. I mean, you've done it a lot tonight, and you know, when you think of Leigh Barnard, you smile because you smile a lot, and you did when you're on the pitch, and you did. I watched an interview with Roger Malone tonight, before we did this, when you had a bottle of champagne in your hand, and you also pulled a hat down over Steve White's face. It was really quite funny. Have a look at it on YouTube. But you're smiling. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, also being a pro footballer, you've got to put food on the table, haven't you? And you know, if you're not in the team, that gets affected too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. But it's about positivity. I think that, you know, if you're a positive person, you know, and if you smile, you generate a kind of, it's. I think it's certainly better to do that than walk around with a, you know, you sort of weight on your shoulders. But the weight on your shoulders definitely is you want to be playing, and you know, it's how can I put it? We're not all Maradona, and we're not all Glenn Hoddle. We're not all, you know, these gifted players, you know, amazing. And but even if you're gifted like that, some, you know, the troubled Gaza or you know, it's kind of yeah. The thing is, I just think that yeah, be positive, smile, enjoy the times that you're a pro footballer, because I mean, when you look at the hard graft that people put in all over, you know, just to put food on the table, and you're out there running around, it's not a bad life.
Fair enough. Got a question from Rob here. It says, what's Leigh done in the 35 years since then? 35 years? How's that? You went to Cardiff, didn't you? But there's this wonderful thing about you became a teacher. Is that right?
Yeah. I just really enjoyed getting in the library and studying. I found that you know, I really sort of took to it. The other thing is, I'd say, is when you teach and you can give to people, you know, not all of them accept it gracefully or whatever, but you're putting over what you believe in. In my case, it was mathematics. You know, that was a really good time. And I used to have a good laugh with kids, but also try and get over, obviously, the subject content. Yeah, so you know, I had to go to uni and get a degree, and I've got my master's in education, and you know, all of those kind of things. But I also had the top qualification in coaching at a really early age. But the calling for teaching, and schools, they need teachers. They need people that can work with young people. And so I just found that my kind of niche. And I think I'm not sure what it's like for players these days, but you have to change when you finish playing. You have to adapt. You have to reinvent yourself. And I found that that teaching for me sort of took over everything. And obviously when that came to an end, you sort of think to yourself, right, so you're going to retire. What shall I do? Well, you do more of the things that you like doing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like this. I mean, this is great. I get to talk to Swindon Town legends of the past. I can't really.
Vic.
Yeah. Many people say I might be a leg end. I don't know about a legend. Ian says, Leigh, did you ever play at Feetham's ground, Darlington FC, the old ground? I think. Well, we mentioned that.
I loved it there.
Yeah.
What a great old ground.
Next to a cricket ground, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And Darlington, and also you know that there's a Barnard Castle is quite close to there. Anyway, I'm sat there in the stand one year, and guess who's in front? Malcolm Allison, and he sat there, and he had a wicked cough, and I thought, God, those cigars, they didn't do him any good at all, did they? Big Mal sat right in front, watching the Darlington. But what a great old, some of these stadiums that the old ones, I just used to think, why get rid of them? They're so good,
Yeah, because Darlington then went and built that, or George Reynolds, who was chairman at the time, he went and built that 25,000 seater stadium. And I was just trying to find, we've got a note here from a Darlington fan regarding their finances. Yeah, I'm a Darlington fan. We made bankrupt in 2011, reformed 2012, demoted 4 leagues. We're currently part-time fan-owned National League North Club, and we have 3 promotions to date. But they built that brand new stadium and 25,000 seater, and when you go there, it was like everybody was stuck in one corner. I mean,
yeah. So to me, I don't feel the supporters are really treated as well as they should be. When you get stuffed in a corner and then held back, it's not good way to treat supporters. But I'm not sure, but allegedly the Darlington guy, he probably had his heart in the right place, but I think he didn't really think it through, plan it through, did he? I think that business wise, it was I don't know. Not a solid. How can I say?
It wasn't a great business plan. Let's put it like that.
No,
and I think we played up there once. No, we played up there once and 1-2-1. I seem to remember. This is from Mark. Great to hear about your love for teaching, Leigh. I bet you're an inspiration in the classroom, and that's from a fellow teacher.
Thank you so much. What I could say is that they used to say to me, "You got a free transfer," and I said, yeah, I did have a free transfer. You were given away for nothing. I said, well, actually, if you think about it, because these days when you get a free transfer, it's quite a good thing, because then the signing on fee comes your way. I was trying to put that over to but back in the day when I played, the money really, I would say, was not a major concern, a major issue, and all I can say is that you wanted to play so badly that you turn. I can remember going into see Ken Beamish, and he said, "I'll give you a £5," and I said, "A £5?" And he said, "Well, yeah, your wife's got a good job,
Amazing, isn't it? I mean, you think about the money these days in football. It's pointless asking a former footballer what they think of money these days, but they're paid what people are willing to pay them, aren't they? It's that simple.
Yeah. Well, it's the first time as we started to see agents arrive was for Fraser Digby. Fraser got an agent, and he was like, "What the hell is that agent going to do when he goes to see Lou?"
I wonder how he got on. Leigh, brilliant to talk to you. Fabulous to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we could go on all night, honestly, seriously. And as I said, there's a lot of love for you out there. Honestly, the amount of people who I think what people recognized was you always gave 100%. No matter what, you gave 100%. And that really,
it wasn't always the best. All I can say is it was my aim to give 100%. Yeah.
Well, you certainly did. And I think that's what people have enjoyed. Just one more question. Do you still love football, Leigh, or does the modern game leave you a bit cold? What do you reckon?
No, I still love the game. Yeah, still in love with the game. But all I can say is there's so much that I could say, but I think that it's just such a wonderful product. That there's nothing wrong with the product at all. It is just so good. When you look at the Premier League right the way down, what we don't want is an American kind of thing where there's no promotions, because you need right across the board. The dream for Swindon Town is to go up the leagues and into the Premier League, and that is the dream. You cannot take the dream away from clubs like Swindon or Wigan or whoever. You cannot take that dream away. So when I hear an American saying, right, we're going to just keep the Premier League as it is, and those clubs it's a closed shop. Please never let that happen. No,
absolutely not. And also clubs like Morton and Stroud, who I think you also play for.
Absolutely.
They should have the dream of getting in the Premier League one day, should they not?
Yes, true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there we are, Chris.
Won't get Ryan Reynolds saying that about keeping it in one league, would you know? Though they've been promoted, so they'll want to go up the league. So
yeah, they will. Yeah.
But fantastic. Thank you so much, Leigh. And I think, as Vic said about why people sort of love it and everything, is because you have character as well, and you still have, obviously. And that's we miss
you on
that
the 14th of May.
Yes. Yeah, you will. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we'll be promoting that as well nearer the time. So yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you. New boots for that.
Watch out for blisters, Leigh. Don't get them, will you?
Yeah, wear them in. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege for you to be on here tonight. And thank you for agreeing for it with us. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Wow, I think that's it's been a night. It's been fabulous. We will be back next week. As I said, it will be for the Swindon Town Museum, launching that on our socials, just to have some questions answered and get the bits and pieces in place of what's going on. I will say one thing. If you have enjoyed Leigh tonight, if there is anybody that you would like us to try and get on, please let us know, and I will try my best. I'll do my Agatha Christie bit and do a bit of detective work and try and get people on for you.
Try and get Dave Bamber.
Dave Bamber. Well,
right.
if you can give...
I will try again. I will try with Dave again.
Stay right there, Leigh, because we're going to ask if you've got any contacts of various people. So don't go away. Just stay right there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. You've got about 40 minutes now to get your cups of tea ready for the Fools Rush In. So have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.